You see, anybody that's trying to make money online, specifically those of you trying to make 10K per month, you'll typically have one specific issue, which we're going to cover today. It's not that you don't know how to make 10K a month. You know you need 10 clients to pay you 1,000 each per month, or you need 5 clients paying you 2,000 a month each. That part is incredibly simple, you understand. Let's go a level deeper. To get 10 clients per month, you know you need to send messages to business owners on social media. You need to send them cold emails. You then need to invite them to a free strategy call. And on that strategy call, you then need to sell your service, right? We all know exactly what to do. So my question to you is, why do you think some people start and scale to 10K a month in 3, 4, 5, even 6 months, when there are other people that start at the exact same time and they never even get there? In fact, they never even sign their first client. I want you to really think about it. Is it a lack of information? Is it that they didn't know what to do? Is it that they didn't have the secret that the other person had? Sometimes, but 9 times out of 10, I can tell you from my experience and the students I've worked with and my team, 9 times out of 10, it's a mindset issue. And before you click off this video thinking, oh no, here we go, another self-improvement mindset junkie that's going to tell me to meditate, take cold showers, and do all these things. Hear me out. If you know exactly what to do and how to get to 10K a month, but you don't do the things that will get you to 10K a month, where do you think the problem really lies? Is it in the information you have? Is it in the fact that you just won't do the work? Yes. And why won't you do the work? Maybe you're lazy. Maybe you have imposter syndrome. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you feel like you're really not in a good place right now. All of those, they're not going to be fixed overnight, but by learning how your mind works and how to essentially hack your mind to do the things you don't want to do, that is how you're going to get results. So in this video, I am exposing myself and my team. I'm giving away an hour-long training that we hosted during a mastermind event in Miami, and we're giving it to you today for free because I know how important this specific training is. The feedback we received from the members that attended this live training were absolutely insane. This training called people out on their bullshit. It showed them the way in which we approach business that has allowed us to actually make money when we're not smarter than you and we're probably not even more hardworking than you. This is why you need this. So I'm going to roll the training. Enjoy, please. Take notes and actually use this. Implement this in your life and come back to me in 2 months. Thank you then. Right, so becoming a successful person and what it takes. Throughout this training, I'd actually love to get some input from anyone who is not brand new and has at least 1 client. So say, Alvi, you've got a few clients. Isabel, you just signed your first client. Alan Coleman, you have a bunch of clients. Luke, a bunch of clients. Who else have we got on here? Scott, you have a bunch of clients. Dario, I know you've had a couple of clients in the past. And yeah, if anybody else has clients, just anything that comes to mind for you, right? Your personal opinion. Again, it doesn't have to be right or wrong. It's just your opinion of what has helped you to become that successful person. And obviously you mightn't see yourself as successful now, but you are, right? If you're at 1K a month or 2K a month or 3K a month, that is someone else's definition of success. So guys, if you have any input, we would absolutely love to see it. So don't be shy. Feel free to put that here in the Zoom chat, just letting us know anything that has helped you. And yeah, without further ado, we're going to hop straight into it. So this is the rough breakdown of what we're going to cover in this training right here. Okay. First off, we want to look at how you have to become the person first before you can be the, let's say, 10K a month or 6-figure agency owner. We're then going to dive into cleaning up your personal life. Some of you might think that this is not important or it's not really related, but trust me and Ty when we say your personal life and business life are typically a direct reflection of each other. I can put my hand on heart and say, hey, when I've had issues in my personal life, that has affected business. And when I've had issues in business, that can then affect personal life as well. So these two are definitely linked.
It's the most important thing. I think when I talk to students and when I see what is the single strongest indicator that someone's going to be successful, it's that they understand this principle that so many people think they have problems in their business, but what they actually have are problems in their personal life that are showing up in their business. So everything here integrates so well with business. It's important that you have all of this optimized and continue to optimize this. It's not just what you do, but it's also what you stop doing. So really excited to talk more about this.
Yes, 100%. That's a great point right there. It's not about adding things to your life often. It's actually about stripping things out, which we're going to get into everything here. We're not holding anything back. We're going to talk about diet, training, relationships, boundaries, addictions, porn, video games, you name it, right? And a lot of these are very taboo topics, but we want to make this as raw and uncut as possible because, again, from me and Ty's experience, these are things that genuinely have actually affected our results.
And you know what, Adam, when we actually onboard people for the high level accelerator program, that's the very first thing we talk about.
Yeah.
We have that 2-hour onboarding call, and you would think we get on here, we're asking questions about your agency, which we do. We talk hours about your agency, but very first thing, we ask some really uncomfortable questions about your personal life.
Yes.
We want to get deep dive into there so we can figure out what is the actual bottleneck that's holding you back, because very rarely is it just a business bottleneck.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, that document we have for high level students when they join it's intense. We'll touch on that later if any of you guys are interested in hearing more about that program. But yeah, we'll let you know. Cool. So next up, we're going to go into how to become the master of one. Okay, Ty is an absolute master, a wizard at just getting hyper focused on one thing. And I can say from experience, like when I was building my agency, I was hyper focused on one thing, and that really allowed me to scale. Again, you guys have seen my claim to fame, right? 0 to 10K a month in 45 days. That would not have happened if I was trying to do a bunch of things. That literally only happened because I was obsessive about one thing. But I can also tell you that there have been times, which I talked to Ty about this yesterday, I have not been focused, and I have tried to do 5 or 6 different things at one, and it's been a complete nightmare, mess, lack of results, not something you want to be doing. So we're going to touch on first the importance of that and also how to cultivate that in your life. We're going to touch a little bit on fixing your inner scars. Again, a bit of a different topic, one we wouldn't typically talk about. But, if you guys have seen my story, I went from a pretty broken teenager who had like lots and lots of suicidal thoughts and tendencies to someone who now is doing pretty okay. Okay. So like to go from that person to person now that you see on screen, again, lots had to happen. And again, a lot of that is not outreach strategies or me picking a niche, right? That was me fixing myself before I could even grow the business. So looking forward to sharing a bit of that with you. And then we want to just touch on focusing on long-term impact and results over short-term pleasures, and how, again, this is like one of the biggest factors that's going to really push you forward. So that's the rough breakdown. We're going to hop into it right now. Before we do, I see Dario, you've shared something that has helped you, which is so getting your first, let's say, I think it was 3 clients, Dario. You said it was mainly sales skills that helped you. So you've been trained on sales for a long time. You were raised by salespeople. Wow, that's amazing. So to you, that was like a key driver. One thing you would like to ask us, though, is how to not make excuses as it's a problem you currently have. Awesome. Let's definitely dive into that, as we'll circle back to that in the Q&A, Dario. But I think we're also going to address that in this entire training. And so cool, man. And appreciate you for sharing that as well. Good to hear. Cool. All right. So becoming the person first, all right? As we mentioned, to make 10K a month, you essentially need to be the person that makes 10K a month. Okay. Now, how do you become the person that makes 10K a month if you're not making 10K a month? You have to think, believe, act, and essentially just show up and pretend to be that person until you are that person. So that was something that I did. I think it really, really helped me because, and there's this chart that like breaks it down perfectly well. I'll just give you a rough breakdown, right? But if your actions every day are the actions of a 10K a month agency owner, it's probably you working on outreach, optimizing your systems, focusing on your sales, improving your sales, watching your sales calls, seeing where you can improve, communicating with your team. Like that right there is probably what you're going to do at 10K a month. Now, if you don't have clients, of course, you can't talk to your team. Okay, you can't really watch back on your sales videos because you mightn't have any, but you can start to think and believe and act as that person. Okay. And the reason this is so important, and trust me when I say this, I used to think this was BS, right? This whole idea of you have to think a certain way to get certain results. But I can definitely tell you right now, it's hugely impactful for you, your growth, your happiness, and your business. Okay. If you can think, I am successful and I will be successful, and I'm going to act as the person that is successful, you will be successful. Okay. So this is not, your cliche law of attraction, think it and it will magically happen. This is, you think it, you believe it, you then act as that person. And because you're taking action, but you're taking action with all the beliefs there, right? All those positive thoughts behind you, you will get results. Whereas if you are just acting, but you maybe have doubts, you have insecurities, you have limiting beliefs holding you back, you could still put in the same effort as the other person, that believes they're already wildly successful, and you probably actually will get less results. Again, it's not to do with magic or voodoo. It's literally just that the other person has more conviction. They have more conviction and belief behind what they're doing, which is going to help them to get further, quicker, faster, and have way more success. Okay, just a rough one here for you. If you tell yourself you want to make 10K a month, okay, like, so that's your goal right now. Okay, maybe you put it in the chat, like, your goal is to get to 2K a month, 3K a month, 5K a month, or 10K a month. But if you're still falling into the same old habits and routines that have kept you stuck this far, it really doesn't make sense for you to expect yourself to level up and now become a six-figure earner, because you're doing the same things, expecting a different result. There's a quote from, I think it's Albert Einstein, that, you know, insanity is the definition of doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting the same results. And again, I can tell you from experience, there's times in my business where I'm like, oh, I want to get to X per month, but then I break it down and I'm doing the same shit that got me to 10K a month. So that doesn't make sense. That's wrong. It's not going to work. So you have to just strip back those old habits, those routines and things keeping you stuck.
Yeah. And there's a great book on this, Adam. You know what I'm going to say, right? You know where I'm going. This is one of Adam's favorites, I'm pretty sure. Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And it talks all about this. It talks about the psychology of self. It was written by this guy who was a plastic surgeon, and he realized when he did cosmetic surgeries on people, they would adopt this whole new personality because they felt like a different person. Yes. And that would change the way they act, and it would change their entire lives, from the way they communicate, the way they date, their success in business, just from very, very simple cosmetic changes. Yes. And that's really what this is about, right? It's about changing your psychology of self and believing that you are this person who gets those results. It's about this internal change, right? Because you cannot act in accordance with anything that you don't believe is true, right? Yes. You have to believe, this is what I am, this is what I do. And that thought process is going to precede any sort of physical, tangible success. So it's not just what you do, it's who you are.
Yes. So important. And again, I just want to preface that by saying that, like, when I first heard of these topics, I did think they were BS. Okay. So again, if you're on this call, you might be thinking, you know, sounds a little woo-woo, sounds a little bit out there. We're telling you from experience, like, this genuinely is so important. Adam, I see you mentioned What a Book. Yeah. Incredible book. Obviously, I'm biased. It's like one of my favorite books of all time. I've read it probably 5 times. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. I literally have it on the Kindle in the bedroom right there. I have notes. I might even pull it out later. Who knows? But yeah, like I said, you have to be the person, and nothing, like, you can't get results if you just don't think you can get the results. Okay. And okay, let's break this down. How do you actually do this? Okay. So let's just say you believe us, right? You believe what we're saying. You believe, okay, cool. I've got to rewire my thinking, my mindset, my beliefs about myself and what I can do in life. Ty, what are some things that you would say people should start to do to help make this transition? I have a couple of thoughts I can think of right now, but yeah, what would be those initial things you would do?
So I think there's this saying, with competence comes confidence, and vice versa, right? With confidence comes confidence. So really, I think it is a matter of just small wins that aggregate over time. You're not going to be a 10K owner, an agency owner tomorrow, but you may be a $500 per month agency owner, right? It's about stacking those really small wins. And it's not even just in terms of tangible things like, this is how much money I'm making, this is how much is my bank account. It's, I woke up today, I got up, I did 10 push-ups. Little things, even things that aren't related to business, right? It's just to take action, execute, and show yourself that I keep promises to myself. That was a big one for me. It's just, when I say something, when I think something, it becomes reality because I'm the master of my own fate. And just taking execution and doing what I say I'm going to do is one of the big things for me. I know there's another one that Adam is a huge fan of, visualization, right? So for me, this comes with my environment, right? Putting myself in situations and in this perspective of, I am the person who's worthy of making this kind of money. What does a person who makes 10K a month, what do they do? What do they eat? And this is something I've kind of trying to lead into with my abundance mindset, right? And that's one of the things about being here in Miami with Adam. It's like, we're seeing Ferraris, we're seeing these crazy apartments and stuff like that. And it just becomes so much more physical and real. It demystifies it in a way. And I think that's another thing about networking with other agency owners is you might meet people in the program that are making 2, 3, 5, 10K a month. And you're going to realize they're just people, right? Like, that's one of the coolest things. I know we're talking about me meeting Adam and how, is Adam even a real person? And that kind of, he doesn't feel like a real person. He's an abstract concept. He's this multi-millionaire 24-year-old agency owner, and just getting to see him in person and realize, oh, Adam's he eats normal things. He does normal things. He talks like a normal person does, and just kind of demystifying it for yourself. So I think the more you get into it, the more confidence you're going to build. And with that, it's going to come physical competence. And it's something that builds over time, but also just getting engaged in that community and in that lifestyle. The deeper you get into it, the easier it gets. And I think that's to oversimplify it, but I think it's just the contact with it all.
Yes. Yeah. Really, really good points there. And, you know, that last point of just tying into the environment, again, this is what this entire mastermind is about. Like, you guys have seen exactly where everybody is at. So make those connections. You know, there's people in here doing 2, 3, 4, 5K a month. Connect with those people. Chat to them, give them value, you know, try and add value to them. They'll add value to you. That's what it's all about. So yeah, the book is called Cybernetics, if anyone wants to take a deep dive into that. Yeah, so again, some things that I would do if I was to restart this process. The author is Maxwell Maltz. Yeah. If you type it in, it'll come up.
There's only one.
Like, yeah, there's only one for sure. So yeah, visualization is something that I don't currently practice it, but I used to practice it a lot. And visualization, I think you can break it into 2 categories. You can look at positive visualization. Okay, so let's just say, for example, you sit on your bed in the morning, and you know, you take a couple of minutes just to meditate, whatever, and you start to visualize, what is your dream life? Okay, what do you want? Where do you want to be? What does your room look like? Do you have a balcony? Do you have a nice view? All these things, okay? You just start to visualize positive things that you want in your life. That's one form. The second form is negative visualization. This is the opposite, okay? This is saying when you wake up, if I don't work on the goals that I've set out for myself, I'm going to be in a worse scenario, okay? So I might not even have a bed, or there might be fucking cockroaches in my apartment, right? Very different style. And if you guys want to try this, try the 2 styles and see what works best for you, or pair the 2 together. Do 5 minutes of positive, do 5 minutes of negative, and just use this kind of fusion of the 2 to light a fire under your ass. For me, negative visualization worked better for me at the start. Okay, if you're in a position right now where you are comfortable, meaning that like maybe you're in a job or you have an income that keeps you comfortable, right? Like you have enough to pay your bills, you have enough to buy some meals and go out a couple times a month. If you are comfortable, negative visualization might work better for you, because there's nothing in your immediate environment that is telling you, I need to buckle the fuck up and make more money, okay? Because you have like a lovely bed and a nice apartment. If, however, you're in a very negative situation right now, positive visualization is probably going to be more impactful for you, okay? So test out the 2. Again, there's no right and wrong way. Don't beat yourself up if you do it and you fall asleep and you go back to bed in the morning, or if you do it and you don't feel anything. Try it a couple times, see how you feel. Super basic, super easy to do. But again, it's the more you do it, the more it becomes real. Okay, the first time you visualize, you are not going to even think it's real probably. Okay, you're going to think that's just a dream. I'm never going to get there, whatever. You do it the 10th time and you'll start to notice the color of your bed, the exact view that you have from your balcony. All the details become more clear, which now will just make that image more real in your head, which again, will allow you to make it happen. So that is a huge one, visualization. Affirmations as well. Again, I don't currently write affirmations. I will like a couple times a week if I feel I need to, but right now I don't do it every day. Same concept. Basically tell yourself the things that you need to tell yourself, okay? So if you really struggle with your confidence, if you struggle with getting the courage to do outreach, to do sales, like tell yourself every day, I have the confidence to do outreach. I am courageous. I am bold. I am moving forward. I'm pushing the needle, whatever you need to write. Just write positive things that will help you do, again, the things that you know you need to do. So guys, that is becoming the person first. If you have any, again, questions directly about things that we do, things that we have done to help us kind of get that set up in our lives, again, let us know. Really, really important that you nail that though. Okay, so a couple more points on it. If you don't take care of your health, right, you neglect responsibilities in your life. So when you're told to do something or there's something you know you need to do, you just kind of push it to the back of your mind, or you have a really hard time sticking to your plans and your goals. Ideally, what you need to do is you need to fix those areas in your personal life so that you can then bring that same energy into your business. Okay. You don't have to go to the gym 6 times a week, right? You don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and do crazy workouts. You don't have to do anything, but you do have to take responsibility and you have to be able to set plans, set goals and stick to them. And I think we actually talked about this yesterday, Ty, or you might have even mentioned it earlier, but if you're telling yourself a goal, right, or I want to do X, and then you don't do it, and you don't do the actions needed to get there, you're just lying to yourself. And that might be fine for a few days, but the more you do that, the more you'll actually start to believe that you're a liar. Because you're literally lying to yourself.
In a way.
Yeah.
Right. You get into the habit of letting yourself down, and now your word has no value. And now you don't make commitments and stick to them. And even if it's a small thing, like I say I'm going to make my bed when I get up and I don't do it, how you do one thing is how you do everything. That's something I've really come to believe more often, is that excellence is a habit. Consistency is a habit. So that's a character trait you can actually build. It's not something you're born with. It's something you have to train like a muscle.
Yeah, 100%. That's really, really important. Some of you guys might already have this. Like you might be already very, very organized, very responsible. Great. Awesome. If you don't, like I said, you can learn this. Yeah, I had to learn this. I was definitely not this way inclined growing up. So yeah, just had to learn it. Again, simple things. Make your bed. If you tell yourself you're going to work out 3 times a week, do it 3 times a week. Make it realistic. Don't tell yourself you do 7 days a week. It's not realistic. You won't stick to it. Again, the importance here is that you do these things not to just waste your time on doing all these productive activities. That's not the whole point. Okay. You just want to do the minimum that you need to feel that, again, you're responsible, you're confident, and you're taking control of your shit. Because again, you want to just basically take that energy and bring that into your business. Okay. So really, really important to do that. So, the biggest driver for my personal success, in my opinion, was my shift from victim to owner. Okay. And I don't mean owner of cars, owner of apartments, or any of that stuff. I mean, basically owner of my life, owner of my choices, owner of my habits, taking full responsibility for like absolutely everything in my life, putting the blame on myself when they need to, and taking the hard right over the easy left. Not easy things to do. Okay. But again, hugely impactful. Okay. And you have to realize, like, you are the owner of your life. Okay. Yes, there are things outside of your control, politics, the country you live in, the wage that your employer is paying you, right? Things that you mightn't be able to directly control, but you actually can. Okay, so you can't change who's going to be the next president, but you can change how much you make. Or you can just take that choice and say, hey, if I don't like what I'm making, I'll just make more of it by myself. That's ownership. Right? That's taking your life and saying you don't like a certain thing and changing that and realizing you have the full control. Okay, the worst thing you can do is to tell yourself you're a victim. Or me, I have a bad job, I have a bad boss, I don't have a good wage, I should be paid more. Those thoughts are not really going to get you too far, because they're just going to keep you in this victim mindset. The victim mindset is absolutely terrible. Some examples in my old personal life, right, would have been, I had really, really bad acne and skin issues. And this led me to just be really insecure about my image. My confidence was completely shot. And I used to look at myself as a victim for so long. Like, there was genuinely a 1.5, nearly 2 year period where I thought the world was out to get me. Poor me. Nobody else had skin issues. It was just me, and all the bad things in the world just happened to me. That was bullshit. And I realized that after 2 years, but that was 2 years of telling myself that every day, that I wasn't happy because of my skin, and I had bad skin because the world was out to get me. And that line of thinking is obviously not good. It's not going to get you far, and it's just going to make you miserable. Okay. So the best thing you can do, one of the hardest things you can do, is to tell yourself, yes, I'm going to take the hard right. Okay. I'm going to do the things that I know I should do, the thing that my future self will thank me for. And I'm not going to take the easy option. I'm going to do the hard things that I know are right.
And Adam, another great point to bring up with this is that if you guys go into the Telegram chat that we have set up for the mastermind and you scroll through, you'll see people that are saying, hey, I make 2K per month, 3K per month. You'll see that in the chat right here, just from people who are on this call.
Yeah.
So the point I want to make here is that there is risk in starting an agency, but the risk isn't from the side of the model, right? You can see that the model works. The outreach scripts, they work. You have to go out, you have to take accountability, you have to take action with them. But the real risk here is with yourself, right? You can look at the risk of either a market failing or the risk of you failing, right? And with the agency model, it's a tried and tested model. You have people in this chat here that are making full-time incomes with their agency. So that is proven. You don't need to worry about the risk that's associated with running an agency. You need to worry about the risk of not actually taking accountability, responsibility with your agency. If you can't go out and execute, you are the risk in your agency, which is great because you are the one who is responsible for mitigating that risk, right? So you have to take complete and total responsibility for things that most people would think are out of your control. Oh, I couldn't work today because I had to work at my 9 to 5 and I'm tired. That's a choice, right? And that's what it comes down to. When you're saying, I don't have time for this thing, what you're saying is it's not a obligation. It's not a priority of mine. So it's important that you take absolute and total responsibility for everything in your agency, because the only real risk, the only real input is coming from you. And right now, if you don't have any team members on board, then the only person responsible for scaling your agency, it's going to be you.
Here.
All right. So Adam, you want to hop back on here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. So we don't actually have any slides for this because we're just going to give our thoughts off the dome. Okay. But you need to be able to clean up your personal life to 10x your business. Yeah, we've touched on this briefly already, but again, personal life, business life, direct correlation, direct link, whatever way you want to look at that, it is true. Okay. So if your personal life is messy, let's fix it. Okay. Don't try and fix everything all at once. Let's just take small steps. Okay. If you're in a toxic relationship or an abusive relationship or relationship that's not good, fix that. Okay. Focus on that first, because that's going to be really, really detrimental to you, your life, your success, etc. If you are, again, maybe you're not working out, but you want to, and you know you want to be healthy, you want to maybe do a couple of runs or do a new sport, or hit the gym, whatever it is, let's get that. All right, let's get that sorted. Again, don't go for working out 7 days a week. Do something that's reasonable, manageable, attainable, and just lock it in. Okay. This will really, really help you with business, as we've clearly mentioned a couple times already, right? There's a direct correlation, but also it's the fact that, again, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So yeah, it's short and simple, this one, but basically you have to clean that up, because if it is a real mess right now, it will be hard for you to come to your business without that messy mindset, because your personal life is a mess. So the second then you go to do outreach or you have a sales call coming up, you're probably going to still feel that level of stress, right? That anxiety and that mess in your life come over now into your business, which you do not want. A messy business. A messy business is a business that is destined to fail and not scale, which is not what you want. Sweet. All right. So we've got a little bit of a breakdown here. Okay. This is basically comparing a 10K a month agency owner versus a 0 per month agency owner. Okay. So somebody that, has maybe been trying to build an agency for like 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, a year longer, because we do speak to a lot of people that, might try and run an agency for a year before joining our program. Again, typically they're at 0 per month. So there's no results. And this is just some rough generalizations. Okay. These are generalizations. It does not mean that every 10K a month agency owner does these things. And it doesn't mean that every person who's not making any money is doing these things. These are just common denominators that we see across people that I know personally and people we have, let's say, who would have joined our program after trying to do things by themselves. Okay. So the 10K a month agency owner, when we look at their diet, typically it's nothing crazy, right? It's not that they follow like the strictest meal plan and track every calorie. And when I look at myself, this is 100% true. It's just that I avoid overcomplicating the diet. I avoid a diet that is hard to follow, and I focus on meals that aid me. Okay. So I know for me, certain foods bloat me. Okay. And I know if I have that meal, like, let's just say there's like a certain type of Asian dish that I really like, but I know it bloats me. Okay. So I'm not going to eat that if I still need to do work. Okay. Maybe I'm going to eat it once in a while to treat myself, but not if I have like 2 or 3 hours of work to do after that. Because all that will do for me is distract me, make me uncomfortable, bring up a level of stress in my body, and it's not going to allow me to perform at my best. So this is what I do. Keep it super simple. Ty, you mentioned that you typically only do like 1 meal a day, sometimes maybe 2.
Yep.
Again, I think that's a great example of just, you're not complicating it. Like you're just keeping it dead simple.
The most important thing for my diet is when. It's not really what. Of course, the what does matter. If you're going to eat Twinkies all day and that's your diet, then you're not going to feel good. You're not going to work well. But for me, I usually don't eat before noon. And that way I can get all my deep work done in the morning without the distraction of having to eat or having to digest or having to think about those things. So eating is almost kind of a reward for me, as strange as that sounds, right? Because I won't eat until my deep work is done. I'll hold off on that. And that fasting, it lets my body function more efficiently because I'm not digesting food all day. And the same thing, I won't eat too late into the evening, usually after around 8 p.m. That's when I start to kind of get into the zone, ready to go to bed. So I'm not going to be eating before 12 or after 8. I have that 8-hour window where I eat that 1 or 2 meals a day, and it just helps keep me focused.
Sweet. Yeah. I do the exact same. I typically will have 3 meals a day. Some days I'll do 2. So like yesterday, we had a meal and I had a meal on the plane, so I did 2. But I'll typically do 3 a day. As you know, for me, personal preference, I find if I have one massive meal, I am kind of sluggish for the rest of the day. So I could do it, but I would have to make sure that again I get, like you said, all the work done, everything productive I need to get done, and then I can have that big meal or 2 extra meals, whatever it may be. So again, guys, this is just for you to see and play around with this and see what works best for you. The main thing is just focus on something that's going to aid you. Okay, whether you feel good, you feel more productive, your brain is sharp, you don't have brain fog. Focus on the foods that will do that for you, and yeah, might be different for you. And when it comes to exercise and training, nearly every 10K a month agency owner I know works out. It just seems to be a common denominator. Male, female, doesn't matter. They work out. Now, what I will say is that they don't typically try and work out 7 days a week, 6 days a week. And that is just simply because if that is your biggest focus, your business is not the top priority. Okay, you ideally want to put business as the top priority here. So working out, for me anyway, it is to aid business, realistically. Like, obviously I work out to look good and look a certain way. So there's a level of vanity and ego that comes into that. But the main priority is to keep the focus, right? Make sure that my health is in check. Make sure my cognition, like my brain health is firing. And I've got, that dopamine that comes from a solid workout, and that you've got all these, the endorphins that you get after a workout as well. I'll typically do maybe 3-4 workouts a week. Some will be weight training. Might do a bit of cardio, so a couple of runs, 1 or 2 a week if I'm on point. But again, I don't put this as priority. So priority for me is business, and then this comes second. So for example, I didn't work out today. I haven't worked out yesterday. I worked out like 3 days before that. So again, I'm just balancing it. I knew I was going to be traveling and I wouldn't necessarily have the time. Yes, I could make time, but I'd rather make the time for business first.
Yeah.
So it's like business first, travel, and then work out if I have time.
And exercise is what I'm hearing out of from you. It's more of a tool. It's not something that needs to be necessarily embedded into your schedule. Like Adam said, it doesn't need to be a daily thing. It doesn't even need to be a consistent thing, as in like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. What I do with my exercise is exercise as a tool. So I'll have days when I'm off, and it's important that I just have a toolbox full of things that can help me align my focus or get my energy back. So exercise in this instance, also a lot of people like to do meditation, cold showers, a lot of things like that. And I think a lot of the times people get caught up in that and they think that this is a mandatory. To make 10K a month, I need to have this super strict routine. I need to be doing cold showers. I need to be working out this often. And it's like, those are tools. Those are tools that can help you get your focus. And maybe your focus is what gets you to 10K per month. So it's not that these things are mandatory. Like Adam said, it's not that these things need to be followed to a T, but it's best if you can build a schedule, consistency with this, and use them as tools to solve certain problems that you're facing on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis.
Hell yeah, 100%. To give you guys a real example, okay, last night probably went to bed around, let's say 10:30, 11. Get up this morning around 6:30, and I didn't go for a workout. I didn't do a cold shower. Like, I literally just got up and was like, right, mastermind in 1.5 hours. What do we need to have in place to make sure this goes smoothly? That was it, right? Just straight to business. Whereas if I had gotten up, I could have got up at maybe 6, right? I could have gone for like a run, maybe a workout. I just know I would have been more tired, and I wouldn't be able to give you guys as much here on this training, because I would be thinking about, oh, my legs are tired. Whoa, I need to get some food. Like I'm dead on beat. So for me, sleep is one of the biggest things I focus on. Everything else can come and go, and I'll do, again, if I don't have time for workout, I'll have time. But I'm always going to fit in sleep. Because again, that I just know, for me, getting up at 5 a.m. is the most ridiculous thing I could do. And that would be the clearest way for me to not be productive. Is to get up and do what some people tell me to do. So even with everything we're telling you here, this might be the complete opposite for you. Okay, so it's just to take this as a guideline and test all these things for yourself. And your barometer of success is, am I more productive? Do I get more done? And do I feel better? If everything you're doing in your life ticks towards that way, good stuff. You're definitely on the right path. Cool. So relationships, okay? And the way most successful people I know of approach relationships is that they have clear boundaries in their relationships, okay? So that means that, their priority is their mission, their vision, their business, whatever. And the person they're with knows that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a boundary that they have, and they put themselves first, and the person they're with comes second. And I think that is very, very healthy. You should always put yourself first. Of course, if you're married, you have kids, it's going to be slightly different. We're more talking here about people that are maybe, you know, in your 20s, 30s, maybe you're still just dating. Okay. So you don't have big responsibilities like kids. Okay. Not an expert on that level, so I can't give you any advice. Another thing is that you want to look at relationships, obviously, only when it makes sense. Okay. You don't want to just get into a relationship for the sake of it, like you're bored or you just want to feel a certain way. You know, do it when it makes sense. Okay. Make sure that you have your personal life in check. Make sure that you are, again, doing all the things that you know you should be doing first, whether that is working out a certain amount of times a week, getting certain results in your business. Focus on that. Now, needless to say, of course, you could have, you could have relationships all throughout your business career, and that could have no impact on you. Again, this is just relaying to you what has worked for me and other people that I know of. I'm not sure if you have any thoughts to add on that, Ty, but yeah.
I think it's just intentionality is the one thing we talked about last night, Adam, is that business owners, agency owners, people who are successful, they approach things with intention. They don't do things just to do things. They don't read books just to read books or take cold showers because the guru told them to. They do it because they find it helps them. And it's the same thing with your relationships. You have to approach those with real intention, which is what am I hoping to get out of this? What does success look like for this? And that's a question you should be asking yourself continuously. Is this something that is going to build me up or tear me down? And the answer may not always be the same, right? Month to month, it could change. Week to week, it could change. So it's really important just to reconsider all of your relationships and put them in the context of what does success look like for me, and make sure that is communicated back and forth with both yourself and the person you're in that relationship with.
Yeah. And of course, you can extend this to like family and friendships as well. This is not purely love relationships. So again, if you're friends with someone, but you feel that they get more out of the friendship than you get out of it, again, you want to question that, okay? You want to look at, again, the intentionality. Like, am I friends with this person because I get something out of it and there's a reason, there's a benefit, or is it just for old time's sake? I'm not telling you one is right or wrong. I'm just telling you there have been people that I have cut out of my life where, yes, I was technically friends with them and we got on good and we had a good time, but it wasn't positive, right? Like, it didn't lead me to where I wanted to lead to, and it didn't lead them to where they wanted to get to. So for both of us, it really doesn't make sense for us to essentially waste our time together if we're not going anywhere. You know, we're not helping each other in any way. Another thing on that, because I get asked this a lot, I have like two sets of friends. Okay, so I have friends in business and I have friends outside of business. And for me, I think that works really well, because when I have, you know, some off time and I go visit my hometown, I can hang out with my friends who don't really do business. They understand a little bit of it, but we don't even talk business. They're not asking me how's, like, you know, they'll ask how's business and that's it. The conversation dies. And it's actually really nice because I get to completely switch off and just be, you know, normal human instead of thinking about business. But it is also crucially important for me to have friends that are also in the industry. So I have a lot of friends that are running agencies, some that do e-com, some that do coaching. And the reason that's important for me is because if I'm just friends with people that don't do business, I'm going to feel isolated. I'm going to feel lonely. I'm going to feel like I'm the only one doing this. Whereas again, for you guys, you're probably going to make some friends from people that are in this program or that are on this call right now. And you should, because it means that now you're not going to see your current friendships, let's say your friends from home, negatively, right? Because you're just going to see it how it is. They're just not interested. And that's not their fault. You shouldn't have to cut them off 100%, right? You can still be friends with them. Just have those other people that you can go to with the business questions, the business struggles, right? Like, there's countless times where I've had things happen in my business and I go to 2 or 3 people and I feel so much better straight away because I can just vent and rant to them for 2 minutes in a voice note and they're like, yeah, cool, I've been there, did this helps me. Don't worry about it, you'll be fine. And I'm like, sweet, that was good. That was necessary and I feel better now. Cool. So boundaries, you know, you can adapt this to your relationships or literally anything in your life. So things that you do, essentially just knowing when to limit time with certain people or on certain activities, which pretty much brings us into the last 2 points here of addictions and waste of time activities. Okay, the 10K a month agency owner, so they limit time with certain people and on certain activities because they know they have to. They almost have no addictions. Okay, I say almost because it's probably impossible to be completely addiction free in your life. And they don't really have any activities that are like just a waste of time. Okay, so they'll typically not scroll on TikTok for 2 hours a day because it doesn't do anything for them and it makes them feel lethargic and not good, right? So this is really important. When it comes to addictions, we're going to touch on that in a second here, on the other side. But I personally think for me, these were really pivotal things to have in place.
Yeah. And the same thing, just kind of touching on the boundaries again, Adam, it's that intentionality, right? It's not that things like Netflix are inherently evil and that if you watch an hour of Netflix today, you're going to fail in life. It's that you need to understand this is a tool to help me wind down, right? It's not that you can't consume those. It's that you need to have boundaries when consuming those and understand this is the reason why I'm doing it. And not everything has to have a reason, like to wind down, to relax, to socialize. Those are good things to do. Yes. So to have that be your reason to do things, I think is just fine. But it's just important that you approach these things with intentionality. And I think if you can be intentional with every aspect of your work and your life, you're just going to be a lot more happy and you're going to have a lot more control over things because you think about them, right? A lot of the times it's not a matter of, I need to make these massive shifts. It's just, I need to be conscious when I make decisions.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great point right there. Again, we get this question a lot, like, do you watch Netflix? Do you play video games? All these things. And like, again, you can do all those things. It's not that any of those things are bad or inherently good. It's just, again, like Ty said, intentionality. If you can approach, okay, it's my time off. I've done my work for the day. How can I intentionally now use this time to recharge, to feel good and get a really good night's sleep? And if that is Netflix, great, that's Netflix. If that is playing video games, great, that's playing video games. It's different for each person, okay? So just, if you can use that framework of intentionality, I think you're going to be just crushing it, like in every area.
Absolutely.
Realistically. Cool. So, okay, the person that has been, really struggling, right? They've been trying their agency for about a year now, still doing 0 months. Typically, this is what it will look like, okay? Diet, they don't even think about it, right? So there's no intentionality of avoiding certain foods or having certain foods that help them, or timing of meals. It's just not a priority, okay? They eat when the food is there, and that's about it. When it comes to exercise and training, it's typically extreme. So it's either no workouts or way too many. And I see this is very, very common, okay? A few guys I can think of right now where they've been trying a business for a very long time and they work out 7 days a week and they work out for 2 hours every day in the gym. And it's just so extreme that, again, that's their priority, not the business, okay? Whereas, again, you want to have the intentionality of the workout. It's there to, again, feel good, relax, rejuvenate, but also to help a business, okay? I saw a great, actually, clip of Alex Hormozy and Derek from More Plates, More Dates, a fitness YouTuber. And they talked about this concept of, are you more productive when you work out? Because they're both high-level business owners and they both work out. And they both said no. They both were like, on the days I work out, I'm less productive.
Yeah, takes time away.
Yeah, I'm slow, I'm lethargic, I'm more mellow. So it might be good for a podcast, as they mentioned, because they're nice and chill, but they ain't getting shit done. And that's from two people that are massively successful and work out nearly every day. But they know doesn't actually help the business side. So just take note of that for yourself. When it comes to relationships, a lot of people use relationships just to feel good or to make up for a lack of results in their life or in their business, okay? So you're not getting that hit from your life of that success hit, that dopamine on a daily basis of, oh, wow, I'm getting results. I'm pushing, the needle, I'm making money, I'm living where I want to live. So then you make up for that in a different way, okay? And obviously an easy way is to relationship where, again, it might be a very unintentional relationship, doesn't make sense. You don't actually even get on that well, but you feel nice when you have a cuddle and that's it. Yeah. All right. Again, to sum this all up, intentionality is one of the most powerful things that we can give to you today. And when it comes to boundaries, no boundaries, just reacts to whatever comes up. Okay. So something comes up in the family, okay, business gets thrown out the window straight to the family, which, again, nothing wrong with that. Not saying that's bad, just saying make sure you have your stuff dialed in so that you have these boundaries in place. So if your friend is having a hard day and they want to have a call, cool, take the time, have the call with them, but set the boundary that you're going to do it at 9 p.m. once you're done work, and you're going to give them a full hour. So you're not cutting anyone, you're not cutting short on things, but you're just setting very clear boundaries. This is really, really important. Shows you're in control, on top of your shit, and you're going to get a lot done. Okay, addictions. All right, I can definitely talk. I'm going to purely talk from experience here. Okay, so I'm not telling you that this is what you need to do. I'm just telling you that for me, quitting video games, limiting Netflix, not eliminating it completely, because I actually told Ty last night, there was a period where I eliminated Netflix completely and that was worse. Okay. So for me, I found that I actually do get a lot of value out of watching a movie. Not so much with series, because I get hooked on a series and then I'm like, I want to see the next one.
7 hours gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But a movie, I'm like, good, because it's 2 hours. I'm going to have the big rise,
the crescendo in the movie, the fall, and then I'm good. You know, I've gotten my value
Start
from
and finish all in one.
Yes.
You don't have to lag on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Intentionality. I like it.
Yes.
Very well defined boundaries with it.
100%. You know, weed, alcohol, drugs. Yes, you can still do these things, but again, is there intentionality behind it, or is it completely just distracting you, or just making you feel good? Again, making up for a lack of results. And 9 times out of 10, that is what it is for a lot of people. Porn. I quit porn. I think I was like 17 or 18, and that was a massive decision. All right, everybody my age was watching it every day. It didn't matter even what age they were, right? Like 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds, still watching it every day. Okay, and you might be watching this training, you might be watching it every day. Okay, I'm just telling you from my experience, cutting that was one of the biggest things that I've ever done. I felt more whole, I felt more human, I felt more productive, I felt more clear, more sharp. I had more respect for other people. I got on better, right? And I would actually get on better with girls, even though I'm not doing that weird thing every day. It is crazy how much effect this can have in your life. And I know actually, I think Evan and Alvi, you've mentioned already in the chat that this is, you know, a really important thing for you guys as well. Yeah, massive. If I was to quit one thing in old Adam's life, it would have been that first. Before visualization, before like any of those things, just quit that thing that I'm doing every day, because it really didn't do any benefit.
It's a strange one to talk about. It's a bit of a taboo thing to talk about.
Yeah.
I know even when I do coaching, it's something that I would rarely bring up because it's kind of a weird thing to talk about. But I think it is so important that we address it for what it is, because that is probably, like Adam said, it's one of those things that's going to give you the clarity and the sharpness, and it's going to give you the respect, and it's going to give you the energy to go after everything that you need to. Right? Porn, it gives you that hit of dopamine that says, I've accomplished my goal, I can chill. And that's not the hit of dopamine you need if you're at 0 per month. If you're trying to get to 10, 15, 20K per month, you need to find dopamine in the things that are moving you forward, right? Those are the habits you need to build, not something like that. So it's really important 100%. To talk about, even if it's a little uncomfortable. I know there's some of you on this call right now that are probably cringing in your seat about this, but I think it's important to talk about for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And if you currently do it and you've already told yourself that you want to quit, but you can't break the habit, because that's a really hard thing to do. And I know so many guys and girls that can be completely addicted to that. But again, you want to quit, but you can't. Almost like when someone wants to quit smoking and they can't. You have to, the way I would say what you need to do, right, is you need to just imagine you're in the third person, okay? So you're in your bedroom, it's 9 p.m., you got the moisturizer on the bed table, you've got tissues, right? Everything is geared up to go. Imagine now you walk through your front door, old you is still there, getting ready to do whatever they're going to do. And you walk in, what are you thinking? You're older, okay? You're 40 years old, you're walking in, and you're now massively successful. What are you thinking looking at that person? Maybe they didn't accomplish anything in the day. They're now going to do this to just feel good for 10, 15 minutes and go to sleep, right? Like, just realistically be just so real with yourself and say, am I proud of that? Like, are you proud of that? And for me, again, this is just personal opinion, I would look at that and be like, wow, I'm not proud of that. And I don't feel good doing that. So I'm going to stop it. And again, very difficult, very uncomfortable, but massively important.
And I think even it's habitual, right? You can probably look and see, when do you do that? How often do you do that? And there will be certain cues, right? So it's going to be different for everyone, but realize that this is a habit and an addiction. So there's going to be ways you can break that, but you have to be, again, it's just intentionality. I think being cognizant of, this is the time of day where I'm vulnerable. And if that means like getting rid of all of that on your computer, right? If that means locking up your phone, I have a little box, not for porn, but for my phone, like in the morning, I'll put it in there. That way I don't have to think about it. It's not a decision I get to make. So sometimes it's not even about like, how mentally strong can I be? How can I visualize this? It's about actual environmental optimization, right? Avoiding certain things that may trigger you or cue on those habits, or at least being cognizant of the patterns you have so you can break those patterns or avoid certain things.
Yeah. Alvi, Evan, you put in a couple notes there as well, which are great. You know, just delete all the triggers, anything that would potentially trigger you for that. And again, this links to any addiction, okay? So if it's video games, porn, weed, alcohol, whatever. And again, none of these are bad. It's just you have to find the ones that are bad for you. You know, limit those distractions, limit the triggers, and keep going. So there you go, guys. There's the breakdown of what we see across the board. Ty, this is, your breakdown of a 10K a month agency owner. Because obviously, Ty, you have you know 10K a month agency owners, you are one yourself, and you've worked with, dozens and dozens of people now, helping them get to this point. So
yeah, so this one right here, a lot of the things we're going to talk about here are going to be touching back on things that we've already touched on. So you'll just see this kind of lived out in a way. So I want you guys to think about who, not how. And this actually comes from a book. I was telling Adam about this book last night. It's this idea that if you want to reach this next level, you need to become a different person. It's like the whole purpose of this training, right? But it's about problem solving through the angle of who would do this thing better than I can? And how can I get to either act like them or hire that person, be that person, something along the lines of that. So think who, not how. I want to give you something very tangible. You can almost build out like a persona of an agency owner in your mind. And if you had this theoretical agency owner, or you could even use someone like Adam, for example, and kind of model and mimic what he does, you would think that maybe the first thing is they're gritty, right? They know when to push and they know when to pivot. So there's going to be times in your agency where you're discouraged and maybe you want to try a new model. Maybe you want to find a new niche, try a new service. You want to run Facebook ads. There's so many different ways you can actually make this pivot. And a lot of the times when people get discouraged, they're so tempted to make that pivot. But the agency owner that gets to 10K per month, they know when to push and when to pivot. It's not that they're going to be consistently involved in what's not working. It's that they're going to try something, see it all the way through, and then make a decision at the end. Is this not working because of something that I can change? Or is this not working because I've made a poor decision, because the model is wrong, because I need to shift this? And I see this so often with beginners is they'll try a niche for 2-3 weeks. They don't get results and they go, oh, the problem is the niche. I need to change it from here. And the problem is never, ever the niche, right? Like every niche can work. There's money to be made with pretty much every service. Are some easier than others? Absolutely. But an agency owner that makes 10K per month, they're gritty. They're going to push through it. They're going to see it all the way through. And they're not going to fold when things get hard, right? They know when to push if there's a route for that. And if they push for long enough and they've talked with other agency owners, you've spoken with myself and Adam, and you realize, okay, maybe I actually need to make this change. They know when to do that, right? So it's more about timing with this, but just being able to have that consistency. It's one of the things that I think Adam has nailed down really, really well. He's one of the most consistent people I know. So making sure you're gritty when you need to be. And that goes for everything in life. There's a great book. You guys are going to hear me talk about books all day long. Grit by Angela Duckworth, where she talks about how most success in life is just based off effort, right? Like if you go to universities and you look at the people who get the best grades and get the best jobs, it's very rare that they get that because they have more natural talent or natural ability or that they're smarter. It's because they're consistent and they work hard. So that's the very first thing, is that I don't know a single agency owner that accidentally finds success. They go out, they consistently and consciously, intentionally chase it. So being gritty with this is so, so important. The second point here is that agency owners tend to be analytical. They have the statement of what gets measured gets improved, which is something you guys probably have seen from the six-figure accelerator program. I think I got that from Adam. And it's one of the things that we always ask people is, where are the numbers? What do the numbers tell us? Because we're making educated guesses. We need to measure things. We need to go out and try things. And analytical is one of the things that you can even look at billionaires and other industries, and you can see that there tends to be a trend with business owners and being analytical. For example, most commonly you'll see the people that make the most money are engineers. They're not usually accountants or finance majors or business executives. It's not those kind of people. It's engineers that have gone out to start businesses. And you can think of the example of Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. He's like one of the richest people on the earth. And he's never studied business. He actually was an engineer to start. And Elon Musk, he's not a business guy. I mean, I guess he is a businessman, but he is an engineer by trade. Bill Gates studied engineering. Mark Zuckerberg studied engineering. That's a trend. And the reason why you see that is because engineers, they learn how to learn quickly and they're very analytical. They don't make decisions based off emotions. They consciously sit down, and that kind of goes back to that point of intentionality we talked about earlier. So what gets measured gets approved. Measuring things in your agency, measuring your outreach, and making intentional decisions with that data. That's one of the things that's going to be so, so important. The third thing is agency owners tend to be action takers, right? They ask themselves, do I need information or do I need execution? And this is one of the things that I myself get caught up in as well. When I hit a bottleneck, I always think, okay, I just don't know how to solve this problem. And very rare is that the case. Most of the time it's just, I need to put in the work to solve this problem. So it's important that you ask yourself this question maybe once a week, is to get to the next point with my business, with my life. Is it, I don't know something or I'm not doing something? It's going to be one of those two things. It's always going to fall into one of those two categories. So if you just joined the program, you probably need to go and study. You probably need information. if you were to go out and just execute, you probably would make stupid decisions that with a few hours of watching the program, we would have cleared up. We would have got you right past those. So making sure that you constantly ask yourself, do you need information or do I need to go out and execute? You need to have both. You need to know there's a time for both, and you need to know, okay, I need to go out and just do things now, or I need to go and learn things first. And knowing this dichotomy, knowing which one of these things you need to pursue is going to be so, so important. And then the last point here is that I would describe a 10K per month agency owner as responsible. A 10K per month agency owner would say, I am totally responsible for my success and for my failures. And this goes back to the point that Adam talked about earlier, which is taking supreme responsibility, right? Taking accountability for your life and your actions. And that's the nice thing about the agency model, is that the risk from the model is taken out. Like, you can go through the Telegram group, you can see there are people that are making full-time income. You can go and message those people right now. They're here right now. So the model works. And when things don't work in your agency, you can't go, oh, it's a problem with the niche, it's a problem with the service, it's a problem with the model. You have to take responsibility and go, this must be something I'm doing wrong, or this is something that I need to tweak. And that's taking responsibility for your success and your failures, right? And it goes back to that point of, you can't blame your boss, you can't blame your friends, you can't blame your family, you can't blame your situation. You have to take total responsibility, own what you have, and go out and execute with that from a very realistic and sober standpoint. So that is the fourth point I think I would describe a 10K per month agency owner with.
Sweet. Fire. Becoming a master of one. Ty, again, this is one for you. I'll just give my quick input real quick. So I mentioned earlier that there was a time where I tried to do many things all at once, and I never really got results in any of them. So there was a period where I was trying to get jacked, right? So I was working out like 6 times a week. I was trying to find a long-term partner. I was trying to build not one business, but I think 2 businesses. And I was also then like trying to do a side like online fitness coaching hustle. I'm pretty sure I was still in college at the same time. So you add that up, it's like you're trying to master, 4 or 5 different things. I tried it all and it didn't work. Whereas when I went and said, hey, I'll just do the agency, that's going to be my only focus, that's when things actually started to work.
Awesome. And I know Adam here says, Ty is a master of one. I don't think that's true. I fall victim to a lot of the same things. Me and Adam were shooting the shit last night, and we were talking about, I told Adam, it took me a year to really start my agency. And he goes, yeah, me too, right? Like, these are common pitfalls, common problems, and there's no people that can just blaze through these. You're going to have to think about these consciously. So don't think that you're past this. Don't think, oh yeah, I'm focused, I'm committed. You have to really constantly remind yourself, constantly be in this mindset. And I think for me, the big thing that has helped me not start another business or not go and chase all these other rabbits, you guys have probably heard the saying, the man who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. I think for me, it's not a matter of I'm a disciplined person or that I have my head on straight. It's a matter of I set my environment in a way that precedes that, right? So I don't trust myself to make hard decisions. I was telling Adam about this. I don't have a whole lot of money immediately in my bank account, because if I do that and I want to make a silly decision, I want to go buy a Rolex in Miami, I have to wait 2 weeks for that money to clear. So it's a decision I have to think through. I have to make that. And my environment, or something I set up, is designed to prevent me from making silly decisions. Same thing with that box that I talked about earlier that I lock my phone in, right? It's these certain environmental optimizations that help me be more disciplined. It's not that I myself know how to do this better. And maybe it is. Maybe there's some level that you can achieve through discipline, but really it's easiest, in my opinion, if you can design an environment where you don't have to think about these things. So watching very, very little content from other business models, right? I don't consume any other business YouTube unless it's agency stuff. I'll go and I'll watch some of the agency content, but that's good because it's consistent with what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to achieve. So if you guys are in between 2 different business models right now, or you're trying to do different things, you're trying to get jacked, find the long-term partner, build the business all at the same time, it's important to really just decide what is going to be most important to you right now, right? If it's the business, then you need to design your life in a way that you aren't tempted by these other things, because there will be temptations. You're going to be tempted to all these things, but it's important that you have an environment that's designed to support that consistency and that focus. So for me, it's having the bank account set up, having the phone lockbox. It's actually not watching any other content from anything else, and not consuming even the news to some instance, because there's so much that you can get caught up with there. So it's just about having this very straight lane and not having opportunities to get pulling off that.
Amazing. Yeah, 100%. Sweet. So a couple more slides we're going to run through real quick, guys, and then we will hop into Q&A for this section. And again, if there's anything you want to drop in the chat, something that has helped you on this journey, again, feel free to pop it in, as it's going to be great to see the input from everyone in here. Okay, so fixing your inner scars. As I mentioned, I had to go from a broken teenager who had suicidal tendencies to, a man, right? Someone who could then actually start a business and make it successful. So I'm gonna go through some of the things that I did. Now, as we've talked about in this training so far, think of intentionality. Okay, these are things that are not necessary, but they helped me personally. So I want you to approach these and take them with a heavy pinch of salt. Okay, you do not have to do these things, but they may help you if you're in a very negative, dark place. Okay, so when I was in this place, as I mentioned to you, the first realization was that I'm not a victim. Okay, so I had to go from victim to owner of my life. Now, the activities and the daily tasks and habits that I then built from that were things like I did cold showers. We talked about quitting porn. I did NoFap, working out. So I worked out a lot. I focused a lot on my diet. So I cleaned up my diet. I followed a very strict diet for a while, which again, looking back, I wouldn't have done because it was too much of a distraction. But at the time, it did help me. I remember I quit sugar for about 6 months. So just artificial sugars. Okay. So I could still have like fruits and natural sugars, and I just quit sugars. And that was like amazing. I felt really more productive. I had more clarity and I didn't have big crashes and dips during the day. And then I went, just more extreme and started to take out more foods that I thought might have that same effect on me. I went very, very heavy into learning about business at this time. I was running a side business at the time. Some of you know this. I did some e-commerce stuff before. But I started to branch out, and learn more about, again, this is when I first heard about kind of like freelancing in the agency world. And obviously that then set the entire, journey in place for the next couple of years. I would go to bed at a certain time, get a certain amount of sleep every day. I would limit, again, Netflix and consumption of content. All of those things really, really did help me, because what they did was they actually removed a lot of distractions. It removed a lot of things that made me feel good in the short term. Okay, so short-term pleasures. So it meant that at the end of the day, I was left still with the same thoughts, right? Still with all the same negative thoughts for the first couple of months, but I now couldn't mask them, right? I couldn't hide them. I had to battle them. I had to face them. That's very difficult to do, but it was necessary, very, very necessary. And eventually, once you wrestle with those thoughts and doubts and limiting beliefs for long enough, you win. It's like anything, you keep at it, you'll win. And that's exactly what happened. I got to a point where I then realized, okay, cool. I am really in control and I am not a victim, and I can be happy and I can be successful only if I choose to do the things that I need to do to be that person. So for you guys, again, if you're struggling on a personal level, you can try some of those things. Again, heavy pinch of salt. You don't need to do them all. It's a lot to do all at once. It was very intense. But for me, it helps. And I think it helped because I was in such a dark place that I needed something radical. I needed an entire uplift, like a facelift, right? A change of everything I was ever doing on a daily basis. For you, you might need to just change one thing. That could be it. But yeah, if you're having, and you're in this kind of place, you do need to address it, because it's not just going to go away. And even if you were to just pour yourself into business, you're still going to have these scars. Okay. You're just going to now mask them with business and success and money. And, I can tell you that it's cliche, but it doesn't make you happy. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to fix all these issues. You need to try and fix these yourself. Right. It doesn't have to be 100%, but you gotta get them under control, because or else it will just manifest itself in a way that will be even worse when you have money, because you'll now have freedom and options to do whatever the hell you want in life, which I would say is actually more detrimental.
Yeah. Once you're crying in the Ferrari, there's nothing left. There's nothing else to reach for. You've reached the pinnacle, and it's like, exactly. I've got here and there's nothing for me. Yeah.
Nothing more, and you might be extremely lonely and not in a good place. Okay. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind. Because that links to what we just mentioned. Okay. Focusing on that long-term impact and results over your short-term pleasures. Again, it all just comes down to one word: sacrifice. You just have to decide, am I willing to sacrifice enough now to live the life that I want to live? I once heard someone say that, if you want to, like, whatever level of success you want to get to, it all just comes down to who will sacrifice the most. That's it. Okay. So you don't have to make yourself miserable, but you do have to make sacrifices. You do have to cut out things that might necessarily be, things that line up with that long-term vision that you want to have. But hey, if it's got to be done, you got to decide, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to cut those out? Is the long-term impact going to be better than the short-term pleasures. And again, the easiest way to look at this is I used to always use the framework, would my future self thank me for this? I definitely pushed it to an extreme where there was once a period where like I would never do anything unless it was going to have long-term potential, which is not good. Okay. You need to have the balance. You need to have, a good time and enjoy the moment as well. But that phrase really helped me because I would just remind myself every time I would sit down to do something, whether it was watch a YouTube video or go on my phone or watch a movie, will my future self thank me for this? Simple, but very, very effective. And again, you just have to be honest with yourself and you just have to not lie to yourself.
There you have it, folks. That was the training. You're still watching, which means a lot. That really means you're dedicated. It means you're highly motivated. And I really respect you taking the time to do so. That's just a snippet of what it looks like to have live coaching calls with me and my team, to have extra live trainings, to be a part of a community of people that are doing exactly what you want to do. And this is why what we provide, the mentorship we give our students, is 10 out of 10. The way we help our students get results is we give them the information, but we give them the tools to actually use the information. We give them the mindset shifts, we give them the accountability, we give them the community, we give them the things that will actually get them results. If you'd like to be a part of that, you'll see a link below this video. And yeah, I'm glad you watched the video and I hope you enjoyed.